Okay. Okay. Is it working now? Can you hear me now? Nothing? Oh my lord. I changed nothing. I changed nothing.
Did you change your inputs from your MIDI to? Remember last week you changed your inputs from your MIDI for your keyboard?
That's a whole different deal. It's not even connected now. We're going through this
Yeah,
like we did before.
like we normally do.
Strange.
Elizabeth.
I still have you muted. Go ahead.
Oh well, I know. Elizabeth and YouTube. Are you hearing us?
Lucky.
It's coming in and out, but I can hear. They can hear now on Facebook a
Oh.
little bit. She says it's coming in and out,
Weird.
so they hear all your saltiness.
They hear my stress. Are you hearing my stress? Oh my god.
She says it's coming in and out, but I can hear. Oh yes, she says yes, Don.
Oh, God bless you. God
Finally,
bless you.
somebody can hear us.
Thank you, Lucky. It's no wonder we love you. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not used to that low. Never mind. Realization dawns finally.
Did you say Don or Dons?
Dawns.
Dons.
DAWNS.
Oh, Dons.
Oh, she says big hugs, Brent.
Oh, thank you. She's the greatest. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what's going on here. I'm losing my mind. I'm trying to stretch my wings and bring the paranormal portal a whole different level. But
to the sea, fly like an eagle. Sorry,
Don, mute. I swear to God, I'm gonna mute you.
It again, Don. Dang it!
I swear to God, I'll mute you for the rest of the night.
Stop singing.
I even read stories when nobody could hear us. I didn't know. I don't know.
Well, they were good stories, though.
No, they weren't really actually. So you didn't miss much. I don't know what these things are definitely they are a stretch to what a man can do in life. How much can he handle? And it's technology. I love technology. I'm absolutely fascinated by technology. And I do try to learn and do things as much as I can because I think it's incredibly powerful.
There we go.
Oh, you got sound.
Yeah,
that was good.
got sound.
All right, yay. But I swear to God, when things don't go right with technology, you just want to skin a kitten.
Skin a kitten.
I don't know what else to say. It's
He
just
said
like,
he wants a skinny kitten.
yeah. Just honestly, it's so aggravating because everything we do is so dependent upon it that when it's not there, it's like,
we don't know what to do anymore.
Right. And I'm one for, just going outside, sitting, enjoying the day, whatever. That's fine. But it's dark and cold out here now, so.
Yeah, that it is.
And I just want to, bring something new and cool and interesting to the show and to the paranormal portal and to drum up more interest, I hope, in what we're doing because, we're kind of in a late night slot and it's hard for people to understand what the paranormal portal is. So I was hoping that these live streams not only would give you a chance, you the listener, a chance to meet us and see us and make it a little more personable, but I'm hoping that it also expands our audience, that people will see, hey, this is a pretty okay show. And I don't expect to that we're going to break any real revolutionary ground here, but it's just a fun show and it's something that I love doing, and I know you love it as well, Don. So
I do. Should I go back over what I wanted to do with the Longbeard report?
Please, yeah, let's do that because I think those are going to bring in a whole new fun element into what we're doing, and it'll probably appeal to a lot more listeners as well. Those that want more of the inside scoop. What is the background of these phenomenon?
Right.
And so why don't you go ahead and explain what your angle is?
Like we tried to talk about earlier. Getting the
but nobody could hear us.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe that's good though because now I can actually do it the right way. So
we'll just call that last one a dress rehearsal.
It's better than an undress rehearsal. Anyhow, back to the family part. Anyhow, I'm getting ready to set up the satellite studio, the Paranormal Portal Satellite Studio. Mm-hmm. That'll be fun. Get that all set up and start doing the Longbeard report. Now, that'll probably be a recorded and then scheduled upload to both Facebook, YouTube, and of course VidMe. So because of my lack of bandwidth out where I live, and I'll start covering things like more of the historical things, history of UFO abductions, things like that. Oldest recorded UFO sightings, things like that. Old man Smith's barn got crashed into by we don't know what, but they were funny looking fellers, things like that. And then go into do some some of the MUFON and New Force reports and things like that.
I'm really looking forward to those. And as a matter of fact, I think that a lot of that will be really good because there's a bunch of naysayers out there that would like to say, like, for instance, the UFO phenomenon is more of a recent adaptation, which is basically a spillover of pop culture into our psyche from the B movies in the 50s and stuff like that. But this phenomenon goes, so much further back than that.
It does.
And so to have those kind of reports, I think would be very powerful.
Right. Especially going back to like, the ancient paintings that were made with, supposed wheels in the sky and things like that.
Yep.
Exactly. Talk about some of that and maybe make a whole segment of just that. That would be pretty cool.
Exactly.
And then, like I said, do some, a 10-minute report on, UFO sightings, and those are nice eyebrows, Mr. Burnt.
I'm just trying to make sure you got my right angle.
Do you think my good thigh? There we go. Okay. But yeah, I think that'll be exciting. It might grab that extra segment that we need, to get to that golden goose,
Yeah, we need a golden goose.
We need a golden goose.
Because clearly we need another computer here in the Paranormal Portal Studios to handle some of this burden. I don't know. This is a great laptop too. I mean, that's the thing. It's got like 16 gigs of RAM. It's a solid state hard drive. It's not like platters. It's it's a good deal. But I don't know. I guess I'm asking a lot of it.
Pushing the limitations on that one.
Yeah.
Well, I understand because I think mine's just about trash anyhow. I need a new one. But that'll be for the new Paranormal Portal Satellite Studio.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you get a new one and I'll get another one. And we got to get some decent webcams too. This is not a bad webcam, but it's like one webcam to capture, both Don and myself.
Yeah, I need one for myself only.
I could do a Don puppet. it's more in focus. It's
not a bearded puppet.
See, I can do this. Keep talking.
Whatever you need the Leonidas beard going on there, and it's just not working. This is the portal.
Well, I'm glad you brought the beard. The Leonidas beard. I'm glad you left the loincloth at home, though.
Well,
it's just
face for radio, body not for TV.
Yeah, I know.
I'm only building one part of my body.
That's where that was a beard reference, right? I just want to.
No, that was a belly reference.
Oh, gotcha.
It could have been a beer reference.
Yeah, there you go. Yep. Carbonated love, Don.
You got to have it.
So, anything going on in the YouTube chat room there? Or?
No, I don't see anything on YouTube, but we'll always keep our.
Are you able to see it?
Yeah, I see us streaming through YouTube into Facebook. Yeah.
Excellent. See, this is we have to do a stream health report every once in a while, ladies and gentlemen, because there are things amiss. Now, I wanted to share also with you. I've been working on something myself, and I'm going to be hopefully our fearless leader, Mr. Geo, will get this uploaded. But I want it to be. Should I unveil it now, Don, or just wait for the show?
You know what? That would be a special treat for the people who are watching live now, if you think of it that way.
Okay, so you're going to get a sneak peek on the second hour intro for the show. I was thinking, rather than repeating the same sound bite, which is Feline, a song I wrote years ago, redoing it twice on both our intros. I like it to start the show, but I thought, maybe it'd be fun to do something different here as well. And so I've been working on this soundbite, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I don't know if they'll be able to hear it, Don.
Why not?
I don't know, because I don't know. Wait, first of all, chat room or people in the YouTube chat, let me know if you hear this.
Ooh.
I just need to know they're hearing it.
Well, Lucky's looking for it.
No, I mean, is she hearing it?
I don't know. It's not letting letting me chat.
Okay, Lucky, if you're hearing it, let Don know. I mean, he's reading the chat. I don't want to pull up a chat as well.
Yeah,
but
she says she hears it. So go ahead and play that other
okay,
soundbite.
all right.
Yeah.
So you're hearing that. So now
Yeah.
this is the new second hour. So
Second
that
hour
what you just
intro.
heard basically introduces the show on TFR Live, and you may hear it on iHeart or TuneIn or wherever you're hearing it from. But that introduces the Paranormal Portal show, and essentially what's going on now is that it actually streams to both hours. It's used on both hours. So on the second hour, I thought, I want to try to raise the production value of the show a little bit. So I wrote this. So you guys will have to let me know what you think. So here it goes.
This looks extraordinarily bad.
They linger in a perpetual dream state, a nightmare from which they cannot wake. I can't see you, Mommy. Where are you? I've never sensed anything like it. Carol Ann is not like those she's with. They're attracted to the one thing about her that is different from themselves. Her life force. It is very strong. It gives off its own illumination. It is a light that implies life and memory of love and home and earthly pleasures. Something they desperately desire, but can't have anymore. Right now, she's the closest thing to that.
Poltergeists are usually associated with an individual. Hauntings seem to be connected with an area. A house, usually.
Poltergeist disturbances are of fairly short duration, perhaps a couple of months. Hauntings can go on for years.
Wow.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Hope that will be hopefully opening our second hour on Friday's show.
Right. And Lucky asked if you put that staticky-ness in there.
That's actually a rain and thunderstorm soundbite, and I looped it through the whole thing, so it's actually rain. It's not actually static, but yeah, it was intentional. So, I hope you guys liked it. How many people are on YouTube right now, John?
Well,
or Don?
just just me and Lucky for now. But
Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Lucky.
hey, Lucky. It's always nice to hear what she has to say, though.
Yeah, Lucky's she's just so awesome.
She says it's spooky and brings back memories. Yeah, anytime I hear Zelda from Poltergeist, yeah.
Isn't it Zelda? It's Tangina.
Mm.
Yeah, Zelda. Yeah, Tangina.
Why do I keep saying Zelda? You're right.
I
It
don't
is
know.
Tangina. I'll have to
Yeah.
remember Zelda.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, her voice is just awesome, and this little diminutive person, but she was so powerful, and she could just see and know what was going on. It's pretty amazing. But that apparently was based on a true story as well.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and then you can always go back to Amityville, but
Yeah, and the DeFeo murders and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know
long
that some
history
of that has been really, really sensationalized. I think from the historical
Right.
happenings, quite sensationalized. But I know there was some, some questionable things going on there for a long time. So, I know I believe the place is probably haunted. And then you hear the legends of even when they were doing the remake, there was
Right.
the set was cursed. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's another thing I could do too. Is on the Longbeard reports is do some of the history on that kind of thing too.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That would be great. I'd love to hear, what you can dig up, on those things.
Sure. Yeah.
I know you're a researcher at heart, so
Wow. I like looking at the history stuff.
absolutely.
I'm
So
not a very good reporter though.
that's quite right.
all right.
Quite all right.
So you got a story for us over there? How you doing?
You know,
What got
I
over
do,
there?
but you know what I was going to do is I was going to see if I can pull things up and see it clearer since I have the management. I don't know if that's a good idea or not. What do you think?
I try not to. It usually gets me in trouble.
That's your canned answer.
That is the canned
like,
answer.
It's like Don Spam.
Don't spam. No, spam's better.
Let me see. Where do I go? Okay, channel. Here we go.
There you go.
Let me just get to this. And no, I'm clearly I'm. Oh my God, I need a producer. My channel. Here we go. There we are. Let me just open this up and pull it in another window and hope I don't crash everything. But all right.
Hey, look at that.
I need a producer.
Oh,
my channel. I heard myself.
there you go.
I can actually hear myself through there. Let me mute this.
Yeah, this is throwing us off. We start talking to ourselves,
Oh, I don't want to do that, do I? I want to actually see if I can see the chat part of it.
There you go, right there.
You do? Okay.
Mhm.
All right, hold on.
Oh, you can even comment now.
Oh, yeah, I can. If I can pull it over here. There we go. Okay. So now I can see that it's
For watching, right?
for
on.
watching. All right, guys.
And that's you and me and Lucky.
Yeah,
and
that's
Elizabeth.
you and me and Lucky are three of them. So whoever the fourth is, thank you for being here. Who is the fourth? I'm looking. So how you doing, Lucky? Things good. She's just such a great supporter. I just love it. Okay. All right.
It's a party.
It's a party up in
It's a
here.
party.
We all VIP up in here.
Only the best.
Only the best can come in, I guess. Well, I understand because when you try to do a stream, when you try to do a video and it folds in on itself and people don't want to waste too much time, trying to deal with your issues, and I get it. So I can't expect people to keep coming in, hey, So oh, yeah, I got a message from Josh. Okay. I'll have to read that in a bit. All right. So, oh, cool. That sounds like a good deal. I'm just looking to see if anybody said anything here. Oh, Danny sent her love. That was nice.
Oh, that's nice.
That is nice. Okay. All right. So this is actually just feedback from the failed stream on
Failed stream.
the failed YouTube or Facebook
the
stream.
epic burning.
Yeah, I'll have to
fail.
delete that out of there too. I don't know. I just feel so bad. I put the cart before the horse. I know I do. Oh, outstanding. Let me just type this out, Don. Go ahead, take it away.
Take it away. Well, well, I'm taking ideas for what to do with the satellite studio. That'd be kind of cool. Let me see if I can find some good ones here. Some stories that we can tell. Haunted stories from the woods.
He's gonna dictate his search.
Exactly.
Haunting stories from the
Haunted
woods.
Stories from
All
the
right, this
woods.
one's called The Crying Girl.
Oh, nice.
All right, when I was younger, I was probably like 10 or 11. I went camping with my family. I'll just get right into it. It was about 1 or 2 in the morning, and I couldn't really sleep. The tent me and my brother were in was really hot and very uncomfortable. Anyway, while I was trying to go to bed, I heard a very faint whimper. I tried to ignore it because I figured I was just tired. Our campsite was along a road with many other campers nearby. The whimper started to get louder, and then it turned into crying. I heard footsteps outside of our tent, and a girl crying her eyes out. Now let me tell you, it didn't go faint. It got louder and louder. It remained the same in the same spot the entire time. That's so important because it indicates she was looking at our tent, crying. It gets worse. Then it turned into a full-on scream for a few seconds. Then cuts off. When she started screaming, my brother woke up and we both looked at each other and just get all the pillows and stuff our head under him. Okay. All right. I couldn't sleep at all that night. I'm just glad we left in the morning. Well, what if there was a little kid wandering around and you could have helped them?
Yeah, that would. Well, see, but
I mean, you know,
Kids wandering around in the woods are scary enough.
right. So maybe something went wrong at their campsite, and this kid got out of the tent looking for its family or something, and was wandering around the woods, and you were just too bothered to.
Too scared to get out.
Yeah, I know.
Get
It's
it.
like
Yeah, we
get a
just hear this
flashlight and
whimper.
a set. You know, get a set in your crotch and go check it out. It's
Get
like,
those brass ones put on.
yeah, right. I don't know.
don't know.
That one actually kind of pisses me off. You know, why would you leave what could be a little child crying just because you're, you know,
Well,
I mean, granted, it's a 10 or 11-year-old, so I get
yeah.
it, but you know, at the same time, it's like, come on, kid, go
well,
check it out.
We were
Some-
fearless when we were 10 or 11.
right. I know.
Well-
I did so many stupid things when I was that age.
Well,
Things-
that's not necessarily that kind of fearless. Stupid things are stupid
well,
things.
you know, I mean, things I should have been afraid of, but it was like, here, let's see if I can jump that.
Yeah,
You know,
been there, done that one.
yeah. So I mean, you know, it's just being a kid or whatever. But I don't know. It's like you have a chance to help someone that could be in danger.
Right.
I mean, if you go out there and it's something creepy, okay, I get it. You know, run, scream, do whatever. You know, hopefully you'll be okay. But you know, at least you'll know that some child wasn't wandering around a woodland, you know, campsite, screaming for help. I don't know. I don't know what to make of that one, and they didn't even check. I mean, they didn't even peek out a window for God's sakes, you know. So
Well, it's all about how far you want to go. Lewis joined us in YouTube, and he says fear is an illusion. So
ooh, Lewis making fear illusionary.
yes.
You're right, Lewis. But, you know, granted, you know, if I was standing in front of a growling grizzly bear, that fear would be no illusion. It
No.
would be permeating my shorts. It would not be in my head.
No, it'd be the opposite end.
You know,
Exactly.
I think that would just be horrible. But, you know, I understand what Lewis is saying. It is an illusion because it's a surrender of control.
Right,
you know,
right.
so I get where he's coming from with that. But at the same time, I think, you know, if it could be a child, you just got to take the chance. But again, these were 10 or 11-year-old children, maybe 11 and 12-year-old, I don't know. But whatever the case is. All right. So the next one is called the Glenbond Bottler. And I have not screened these. We had them up for Saturday's show, but we just didn't get to them. So I'm just cleaning them up this week on our stream here. But hopefully, you know, something good will come out of these other than just people hiding in their tents as weird noises go by. You know, since they were in a campground, I think that's the big thing. It was like, okay, well,
Yeah,
they're in a
yeah.
campground. They weren't out in the middle of the forest on a mountaintop, you know, by
Right.
themselves. So that's why I would definitely check. If I was up in a forest all by myself and heard a crying, okay, I'm all for the pillows over your head and just, you know, la la la, I can't hear you.
Right.
But when you're in a campground, chances are somebody just needed a hand. You know, little 2-year-old kids and stuff get up and they wander, and you know, because they're used to being home. Maybe I don't know. All right, I'll let it go. Sorry, I'm just on a tangent here. So anyway, the Glenbond Bottler, and GLENBAWN Bottler, BOTTLER, just for clarification. 2 years ago, we were camping at a place called Glenbond in Australia. Oh, okay, that's why it's Glenbond. Like that should make sense.
Wow.
I don't know, but I'd never even heard of a place named Glenbond, so that's why I was like, I don't know, that's weird. But I don't know. It's not like I'm all worldly or anything either. So now to set the scene, 2 mates were sitting around the fire. One was getting something from his car. I was passed out in my tent. Okay, clearly there's a reason he's reporting. And another mate was down at the tap rinsing his plate about 50 meters from the fire. He got smashed in the head with a beer bottle. Oh, jeez. At first, they thought it was me, thinking I drunkenly stumbled out of my tent to take a leak and had thrown the bottle. They went and checked out, and I was still out cold in my tent. There was nobody else around the camping area. Hadn't seen a single person since we got there. Talking about it the next day, we narrowed the options down to a ghost, a serial killer, or a serial bottler. They said they didn't say killer. Said a serial bottler, or a bird dropping the bottle after trying to fly away with it. We decided to go with the serial bottler, and now every year we keep a vigilant lookout for the Glenbond Bottler. Wow, that's weird.
Yeah.
You know, I know that in Australia they have the Yowie, right? So that's like the Bigfoot counterpart.
Right.
So perhaps, you know, there was a Yowie just checking them out or whatever. So, oh, JB messaged me. It's only showing that you were live an hour ago.
Well, that's because that was the flaming.
Yeah, no, it should be. I joined almost a minute in, but couldn't hear anything, so I ducked back out. Had a show to watch anyway. 10 Days in the Valley. Well, that was nice, Simon. Thanks for trying. That's the hard part when things go south. We lose a hell of an audience. So
We do.
my apologies, ladies and gentlemen. Well, we're live now.
We are here.
We're here, and there are others here too. Not many, though. All right. But those of you that are here, I love you. Thanks for being here. Are we still doing okay, Don?
Yeah, we're doing okay. Everything looks good. Keep it rolling.
Keep it rolling. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just tentative. I'm just trying to keep my thumb on the pulse of this. Okay, so this one called... this is another... What? Everybody's good at the sword in the morning knows what's up. This is the same author? Yeah, no. I don't know what the hell that one was. Sorry.
Okay.
This one's called The Message. The story was told to me by a professor who I very much trust. He was camping and hunting in Montana and had a strange vision. He was sitting on a hill looking for a deer to shoot. That's kind of what hunting is. Yeah. And out of the forest walks his elderly mother. He is taken back because his mother lives in Slovakia and has never left her country. His mother says she loves him and walks away. At this point, my professor is freaking out. He packs up all his stuff and goes back into town. He calls his mother overseas. She answers and laughs at his story. He still feels unsettled, so he gets a flight and flies back to see his mother. He spends a few lovely days with her. Then the morning he's about to go home, he wakes up to find his mother passed away in her sleep.
Oh.
Wow. My professor grew up in war-torn Europe, escaped the Iron Curtain, lived as a street artist in Paris, and then became a 10-gallon hat wearing Slovak in Texas. But somehow this story sticks out as a lot when I think of him. That's really, really interesting.
Okay.
Well, it's like that message gave him the reason to jump on a plane and go see his mother, and thank God he did, because that was when she died and he got to be there. So,
yeah,
rather than being half a world away or a full world away, whatever Texas is from Slovakia.
Being on the opposite hemiplane.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, the next story is called The Shaking Room. Not sure if this is paranormal. So our school had a trip to the Taman Negara forest in Malaysia. Negara. We slept in a bunk in some rundown dormitory on the first night, when in the middle of the night, our beds started shaking for no reason. Out of the 8 double beds, about 3 shook. My class started waking up. Light flicked on, and a commotion ensued. So then my class assigned 3 people to hold on to those 3 beds to see what was the problem, whether the start was legit. I don't know. Again, these are in like 2-point font, so they're really hard to read. I can't even wear my glasses for these because it's like my glasses are for far away, and I could get my face way up on the screen, but it looked like a complete dork. I don't know what that means. Waiting to see what the start was. Legit. When the lights flicked back off, the bed started to shake again. The strangest thing was that my friend, who quickly ran to switch on the light, felt a pull on his shoulder, almost preventing him from running. Teachers were called in, but the problem wasn't resolved. So we resorted to sleeping on the floor. While on the floor, there was no shaking, but it was a long night of anxiety, I'll bet. An explanation would be good. So far, theories such as wind, seriously, and an opposite class playing pranks aren't convincing at all, because there was barely any strong wind and the classes around us were all fast asleep. Very interesting. All right, and this is the 15th one. Ghosts of Antietam. Antietam?
Antietam.
Antietam, Antietam. Are you sure that's Antietam?
Thinking so.
All right, that's good enough for me. It's Antietam now, ladies and gentlemen. I can't believe. Can you see this font, Don? Is this not ridiculous?
I can't even make that out. That's just blur to me.
It's just so stupidly small. What the hell were these people thinking?
Apparently they weren't.
Apparently not.
Apparently
One
not.
summer, I helped the Boy Scout troop I was part of. I received my Eagle Award 2 years before, but wasn't particularly active afterwards. I like camping. They needed a few leaders. And we took the troop down to the what was it? Antietam National Battlefield. That's going to become the new
Adirondacks.
Thank you. Again, that word will not stick in my head. I don't know why. Adirondack. It makes perfect sense, but I keep wanting to say Adirondack. All right, so they want to take the trip down to Antietam National Battlefield. A number of other troops had also come down from the weekend, and we are a weekend full of Civil War education, reenactments, and troops pranking other troops. All of the troops were camped along the Antietam Creek on the other side of Burnside's Bridge Road, the side that isn't part of the park. It was pretty easy. Anyone to cross the road and walk onto the battlefield, or to go up to Burnside's Ridge along the creek and see the field where the Union soldiers massed and try to cross the bridge. I grew up outside of Gettysburg, so ghost stories about Antietam didn't bother me at all. There's enough weird tales in Gettysburg that other battlefields really didn't faze me. The second night we were there, the troops all hit the hay early due to the fact that they were made to march all day by an overzealous reenactor. I took a walk over to the bridge right after dinner, and the sun was slowly sinking towards night. It was actually quite beautiful, seeing the field and the creek. I walked up to the bridge and started to walk across when I felt an excruciating sharp pain in my chest. I almost doubled over in pain and clenched my chest. I thought maybe I was having a heart attack, but both of my arms were fine and free to move. I put both hands on the part of my chest that hurt and felt another sharp pain right below the top of my right shoulder, in the meaty part above your pecs, underneath your shoulder, and just in from your underarm. That pain came and knocked me down, and I almost cracked my head open on the side of the stone bridge. I laid there freaking out and scrambled to my feet and booked it back to camp. I got back to camp, and the other scoutmaster took a look at my chest, and I have 2 raised red lumps that under the skin you could see were turning into blood blisters. He asked me what I was doing, and I told him that it just happened when I was walking around the battlefield. Not once had I thought about any haunting or anything. I called it an evening and turned in. So that is the end of those tales.
Well, that brings to mind, we talk about, it went right out of my head. The hauntings, the residual, the land remembering the residual, could it have been one of those situations where, he may have, received a battlefield, wound that the battlefield remembered, and it just kind of, I don't even know what to call it, like a. Come on.
He could be experiencing somebody else's pain,
somebody's wound that they took.
But that would never be residual. Usually residual never affects the living.
Okay.
So it would have to be more of a, are we still on YouTube okay? It still says connecting, but okay.
It looked fine to me.
Okay. The intelligent haunts can relay information in that way. And so either it's somebody stuck in that moment and they don't realize they passed and they think the war is still going on. They're in that confused state.
Right.
And so they, could have been stabbing him with a bayonet or something.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And, like he can't pass, so.
You shall not
and he was probably dressed in blue being an Eagle Scout,
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Huh.
Interesting, though. Interesting nonetheless.
That's my thoughts on that situation.
Well, it's a good thought. I mean, clearly the Gettysburg, you can still hear cannon fire and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And you can still hear pieces of battles going on. What is that?
I moved my mic. I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's fine. I just didn't know what was going on. So yeah, I don't know. Very interesting though. So, what do you think, Don?
I think I love stories like that. So,
Sorry, I get the mic really close to me, so all I can hear is my own nose breath.
So I like stories like that.
Mhm.
I really do, especially when you're talking about history again, because once again, there you are, right back in my preferred wheelhouse with that.
Yeah, no, I get it. That's
Yeah,
true.
absolutely. So I pulled up on one here. You want to hear this one?
Sure.
This is from theoccultmuseum.com. It's called Laughter in the Night.
Very good.
My dad and I would occasionally go hunting together when I was a kid. I was 14 and my dad knew a guy who owned what seemed to be by half of Georgia. I mean, the amount of property this guy owned was ridiculous. He let people hunt out there, and if he trusted you, he'd let you camp out there for a couple nights if you wanted to. He'd always make sure that we had a way to call for help, though, before we did it. I loved camping out there more than I did just hunting for a few hours, then coming home. I liked the woodsman feel of living out in the woods. We woke up early one morning and hiked into the woods. It was still dark when we got to our stand. We didn't see or hear anything, not even birds. I remember my dad commenting on it and looking back, it should have been a sign. Frustrated, we packed up and looked for a spot to camp, and we would set up camp. We would set up again later that evening. My dad suggested we go deeper in to better our chances of seeing something, so that's what we did. We hiked for a few hours, found a clearing, set up a small camp, got settled, and passed the time freaking ourselves out by talking about Bigfoot and other woodland creatures. We hiked a ways away from the camp, set up our blind, and waited. Again, nothing. We get back, and our tent had been pulled up, laid flat. Not in a neat way, just kind of laying there. We thought it was just the wind or something, so we didn't put it up right away, and it collapsed. We didn't put it up the right way, and it just collapsed. We didn't think much of it. Since we didn't see or even hear anything all day, we decided to leave the following day and try again later that week. We settled in for the night, built a really small fire, and just relaxed. Again, not even birds making sounds. I remember thinking how odd it was to be this deep in the woods and only hear one or two birds the whole entire trip. Oh well, maybe we're making too much noise and scared everything off. We go to sleep soon after settling in. It's pitch black in the middle of the night. I wake up for some reason was just trying to get back to sleep. I'm in that half sleep, half awake phase when I hear laughter. I kind of jolt awake and don't hear it anymore, so I figure it was a dream. I lay back down. A few minutes later, I hear it again. It continues and gets pretty loud. I wake up again, but this time my dad's up too, and he whispers and asks, "Did you hear that?" And this is when my heart dropped. He heard the laughing too. It wasn't a dream. We heard it again, but it was faint, and now I'm actually awake and paying attention to it. It sounded kind of like several people laughing in unison. It wasn't cackling or hysterical laughter. It was just a normal laughter. It didn't last for maybe but 6 minutes, 5 or 6 seconds. I've never felt that much fear before in my life. We didn't hear it anymore after that, but needless to say, we didn't get any sleep. We packed up as soon as the sun came up and got out. My dad was convinced someone followed us and was playing a prank. That's why we didn't see anything. He said while we were in the stand and blind, they were scaring all of the wildlife away with their unmasked scent and being on the ground. He says this, but he didn't go back there for over a month. When he finally did go back, he mentioned it to the guy who owned the property. He wouldn't let my dad hunt there anymore. Didn't say why either. My dad thinks he made the guy think that my dad was crazy or something. I guess it's possible for someone to have followed us out there. They must be legit ninjas though, because we went out the day before break. I love the way people write these. Nobody but the owner was parked out there that morning, and there were dead leaves and sticks everywhere. And then they decided to laugh. And it came from different spots, and I never heard a footstep. Sorry if this really wasn't what you were looking for, but it's one of my best stories. So he says he got goosebumps from it. So laughing deep in the woods.
I think we read that on Saturday. Or I think I might have read it on Saturday.
Fine.
I think it sounds really
there's a lot of them that sound really similar. So it may be. It may be.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And I appreciate that you found a story, and it's certainly relevant. So I don't know. It sounds similar, but I may be wrong. But I think it's cool.
Yeah,
Nonetheless,
absolutely.
I think it's cool. Let's see. I did pull up another article, and let's see. Here we go. What? What?
Looks like we got dropped.
What?
Yep. It says no internet connection.
Well, I got it right here.
I'm not seeing anything here.
Are we still live, ladies and gentlemen? Talk to me if we're live. Yeah, but that could be that little repeater. I mean, this is YouTube right here.
Yeah. I lost YouTube altogether.
Did you lose the internet? Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing us.
Well, keep talking.
I'm keep talking. I'm just so tentative because this is just like, oh my God, don't anything else break down, please. I mean, we are getting some latency spikes. They just did internet maintenance right outside of our house.
That might have actually been it.
No, I mean, they just did like just actually before last weekend. It was on Friday. And I was like, how long are you guys going to be? Because it was starting to get to the evening. And, we should be back up now. It was like all day without it. Or, no, yeah, it was, I don't remember what day it was. But it was like, I think last Friday. But, yeah, I get some.
We're still good. Keep going.
Okay, so we're still good.
We're still good.
All right. This is the paranormal portal. You're absolutely right, Lucky. That anything can happen and usually does happen. And it's making me gray, I think. I'm graying. I'm turning white. I got to get some more time in a bottle. I don't know.
Jim Croce just jumped in my
If
head.
I could save time in a bottle. Good song. Thanks, Don.
You're welcome.
I thought I'd sing a few bars for you since you
I don't.
since you don't. Yeah, we're still live. Josh just let me know too. So thank you guys for looking out. I appreciate it. Oof.
Which Josh is that?
Josh, JB Novelty Josh.
Oh, this is Josh.
Mr. Josh.
Nice to see
I don't even hear you on your microphone. Are you talking? In your microphone?
Yeah, I'm talking there.
There,
yeah.
that's so much better. It's not just for decoration, Don.
I know. Well, apparently you're supposed to speak into this end.
Yeah.
Goes through
Talking
that
into
way,
the
so.
cord doesn't do us any good. Talking
Sideways
to your
mic in it.
laptop doesn't help either.
I talk to my laptop an awful lot.
Yeah, I'm usually cussing at mine, but that's neither here nor there.
Lewis says, "Nice hat, Brent."
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I like these hats that, they're, what kind of hats are these, Don? What are they called?
That's specifically the brand is a Kangol.
Yeah, I know, but what's the style? It's like a beret, right?
I wouldn't call it a beret because it's got a snap bill to it. So,
Okay.
No, my brother used to call them Baduba caps. I don't know if that means anything. He used to wear something like that because he was a tuba player or a sousaphone player, depending on which particular shape it is.
Okay,
So,
gotcha. I gotcha. Okay. What are you laughing at now?
I'm just laughing.
Okay, so now look at Don. This font is so much bigger. This one looks fun.
Wow, I can actually read that one.
So this one is nature lovers tell us about the creepiest encounters they've ever had while stuck in the wilderness. And now this may not necessarily be paranormal, but it's supposed to be. It's from Thought Catalog. ThoughtCatalog.com.
Not the other one.
Huh?
Not the other one. Thought Co.
Oh, ThoughtCo. Is that the one that's always screwed up?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'll have to bookmark this one then.
Oh,
Okay.
there you go. Yeah, a new one.
All right. So in North Carolina, there's a town the Army bought to use for training. They replaced the doors, the electrical, but everything else they let go to hell. We'll say hell. Which is very cool because the main house is over 100 years old. So it's getting to that part of the day where it's not dark, but the trees make it really shadowy. But you can still see fairly well. So it's a group of 7 of us going to explore the house. Oh, yeah, I remember I read through this. First interesting thing. So I drove the second car with 3 other people. Legend had it that people would lose their keys and they would end up sitting on the hood of the car or in the door. So I very scientifically and deliberately wait until everyone is out of all the doors and all the doors are properly closed, and then I hit the lock button on the key fob, and everyone hears and sees it lock, and I check the doors. Remember this for later. We all end up splitting into small groups, and I end up alone. Yay me. It says yay me. My wife and her friend go around back, and I stay out front, walking around and scanning the woods. They then come back, which is when they tell me they heard what sounded like 2 little girls laughing and playing out in the woods. So I start walking around with the flashlight scanning the woods. When we get back, the dome light was on and one of the doors was cracked open on the Jeep. I kid you not. This starts to freak everyone out. As we were discussing this, we heard the loudest thud come from from the house. I compared it to someone dropping a safe on the top floor of the house. This literally shook the house, and I heard the bass in my chest. Now, being prior military, I know for a fact it wasn't artillery or ordnance. The rest of our friends that were in the house beat feet and got in our cars and left. No one can explain the noise. They were all upstairs, and they looked in a bedroom and then went out to the next room, and the boom came from behind them. Also, we talked to our friends years later about expecting them to say it was a joke, but they had done something, but they stood by their story. So interesting. I don't know.
Thumps in the night.
Thumps in the night, and the locked car opened.
Locked car, yeah, that's true.
That's really true. It seems like these spirits have this, they can really screw with electronic things.
Right.
I've seen it many times in my own experiences, but many reports of people, experiencing suddenly lights won't work. Suddenly, radios will change, TVs on and off, lights flickering. And so it's not just, opening and shutting doors and stuff. They really seem to, and, granted, one of the paranormal researchers' favorite tools is the EMF meter.
Right.
Which is detecting electromagnetic fields, which is believed to be how you can check for the presence of a spirit. So, and I guess I believe it as well. So,
don't read that story.
This one?
That's the same one I just read.
Oh,
it's a different website though. It's the same exact one though.
Oh,
because he talks about Georgia.
Let me just see. Okay, yeah, that was a long one.
It's the exact same one.
Yep. Okay. Well, a lot of these sites will I'm sure it was posted on one site, like maybe a Reddit site, and then a lot of these sites will just fish stories off of Reddit and make their own pages. So, all right, wildland firefighter in the Forest Service. Not my story, but from an old supervisor. Oh no, you know what? I'm sure.
See, I just saw that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called The Missing Hiker. On this page.
Let me see. Let me just wait. I would just want to scan it quick. Oh yeah, this is one where the woman becomes the bobcat becomes a feral-looking woman.
Oh.
Yeah, it's because they find this cabin that shouldn't exist. That's right. I think I've read that on another show. It sounded really familiar when I read through it before. I read through these after Saturday's show just because I like these stories. So I read through them, and I remember hitting that one and going, no, I've read that one before on another show. So
it's hard sometimes to find good new ones.
Yeah, I know it is. And that's the problem, ladies and gentlemen, with this kind of a show is that, I have a limited, if I don't get listener submissions, I just go out fishing, and, it's hard to keep digging up new stories sometimes because, the fishing pond, although there's a lot of information, a lot of stories out there, a lot of times the same sites will borrow everyone else's stories. So you just see a lot of depositories of the same stories. And so it's hard to find sites that are more original and have their own stories. So, and then you run into the ones that, oh, this site is copyrighted. You cannot use this material without permission. It's like, so I avoid those as well because I don't want to screw with anybody's rights.
Yeah. God forbid.
God forbid. I will not be an obstructionist. So, anyway. Not a pro, but more than 1,000 days in the backcountry over the past decade, I have always been drawn to the wild. It seems like home, and I generally know my neighbors out there. Not afraid to be in the deep woods, in the dark, love my woods. Okay.
Nice.
Is that like is this a jerky commercial or what?
A jerky commercial. Only if Sasquatch is back there.
Yeah, exactly.
Beating somebody over the head with some jack links.
It just started out like such a, I love my woods. One sunny weekday afternoon, I had dirt biked up an old mining road. I gained a couple of thousand feet from the valley floor towards one of the ridges of the Cascades. That's got to be near here, right?
Cascades, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, those Cascades are right by us as well.
Yeah.
When the road gave out near the bottom of a high basin, I put on my backpack and started off cross country toward the ridge. It was still heavily forested, old growth, an old cut fading in another 1,000 feet in those scraggly windblown ones near the top. About 20 minutes in, and about half mile up from me, near the tree line, I heard this thumping sound. It was very odd, so I stopped to listen carefully. It sounded like a big, solid branch was being whacked against a solid tree. Well, that's wood knocks. That sounds like a Sasquatch for sure. That's wood knocking, ladies and gentlemen, one of the Sasquatch signals. I use the term solid because the wood hits were very powerful. One or both of the pieces of wood were hard and dry. The wood resonated and rang on impact as dry wood will. I can't get over the power, though. It sounded like someone was swinging a 4-inch post. Weird, right? Well, it gets better. This someone sounded like they were trying to communicate. The thumping had a very complex and well-defined pattern. And here's the weirdest part. The thumping signal occasionally became very rapid, like a drummer could do if they were noodling around with a stick. But I swear it sounded like a 4-inch post was being treated as lightly as a drumstick. Yeah, I'm still on the Sasquatch page personally reading this. I listened for maybe 5 minutes, just fascinated with this sound, this code, and the power of it. Then the drumming suddenly stopped, and I kind of woke up to the two thes in a row. I finally woke up to the fear of this unknown thing out there. I had my pistol, I had my bear spray, and my knife. I really only fear cougars, and even then I figure they'll have a bad day trying to take me down. Still, the silence as I stared into the forest ahead seemed loaded, and I turned on my heels and left that valley. That place and that experience gave me the chills, and that high valley won't see my shadow again. I have read stories about some of the native peoples around here having valleys and just wouldn't go into. I can now easily understand how these legends get started. Yeah, that's got to be a Squatch doing a territorial display.
And that's exactly what I thought when we started talking about the loud thumps.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was a territorial display, like, get out.
Get out. No.
Get out. So, yeah, that one was pretty good. All right. Summer camp counselor here. That sounds familiar.
It's one time in summer camp.
Yeah. It's one time I was in summer camp. Okay. Yes. Sorry, that's my Cartman. Cartman, yeah. Thank you very much.
I recognized it.
It's a gift. So let me see. All right, I'm gonna go. I'll just read it. If it's a repeat, I'm sorry. Summer camp counselor here. I work every summer for a camp for 5 weeks. One time we were backpacking to the tallest peak in my state. At night, me and my coworker friend went on a night hike to get away from the kids. So they leave the kids home.
Sounds like a great idea.
Leave the kids in the campground. No, it sounds like I hope there were other people there. We laid down on a slope in a patch of grass to stargaze for about a quarter mile from everyone else. As we were lying, I heard the beautiful sound of water behind me. Oh, I did read this one before. I'm going to finish it anyway because I think it's absolutely fascinating, and I don't mind repeating it. I hear this water behind me, and I mean beautiful. I've never heard water running before. It's beautiful. I've never heard water running before and thought to myself, wow, this sounds beautiful. All I could imagine was crisp, clear water gracefully trickling by. I had this image stuck in my head, and I had this sudden urge to go find it. Not just an urge, but a need to find the creek. Now behind us was dense forest and brush, so it would have been hard to find at night, but it sounded somewhat close to us. Me and my friend looked at each other without saying a word. I knew he was having the exact same thought as me. I said to myself, let's wait for 5 minutes and then we'll decide if we should check it out or not. It felt like a playful presence was trying to persuade us to go over there. Then I decided we should go check it out, and we stood up without saying anything to each other. It just sort of happened. As we were approaching the sound, it became quieter and quieter. We stopped, not knowing if we wanted to continue. As we stood there, the noise of trickling water became louder and louder until it sounded like standing right next to a river. I then said, let's come back tomorrow to find it, and we agreed to come back later. When I made that decision, the sound of the creek vanished along with the urge to go. There was only silence. The presence I felt earlier suddenly became sinister. It was just this dark feeling of a presence, kind of similar to knowing when somebody is watching you. I felt this fear slowly creeping up from my belly. We walked back to the camp quickly without speaking. Once we got back there, we started talking about what had just happened. My friend had the exact same urge to find the creek and the same internal battle in fighting the urge to go look for it. When we got back, it was like a trance had been lifted, and only then did we realize what had happened was not normal. We both could think clearer, like a fog had been lifted. That urge I felt did not feel like my own mind's urge. It's hard to explain, like an urge placed there because once the sound of water stopped, the urge stopped. The next morning we went back to the spot and went back to the place where we heard the creek. We looked and looked, but we couldn't find any sort of creek or water. We later looked at some maps of where we were, and there were no creeks or water nearby. I'm scared to imagine what would have happened if we had followed the sound of the water because of the ominous presence we both felt. If I was by myself, I would have thought I was imagining it, but my friend thought, felt, and experienced everything I did. I don't know what it was, but it was eerie to say the least. What's strange is that neither of us said anything to each other once we heard the sound of water, and yet we both made the decision to go look for it without asking each other. And both heard the sound of water becoming louder and quieter even though there was nothing there. We both felt the sinister presence trying to lure us in, and I'm thankful we decided to go back later, because it all felt off. Very interesting. Now, I would say I believe the forests are rife with life, and they are just absolutely filled with different forms of life, and perhaps there's some form of life, and I'm not saying physical necessarily, it could be spiritual, but there's some spiritual or other form of life that may use that kind of urging, that kind of telepathy to lure people in. I don't know. I just try to understand what that's like or what that would mean. And it's not a standard Bigfoot story. You know, it's just, it doesn't fit the Bigfoot dogman, type of thing, but it does fit the fairy narrative.
Right.
It does fit the stories of the fae enchanting people and dragging them off, or, having them disappear into the forest. So
I've never heard of fae kidnapping or dragging people away.
They're over in the old countries. There's lots of stories of that.
I would imagine so, yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of tales of children disappearing and such. So,
wow.
You just never know. You just can't trust the fairy. No, I'm just kidding. I love the fairy.
As far as I'm concerned, as Ozzy Osbourne said it way back in Black Sabbath days, fairies wear boots, and I'll listen.
I don't even know what that means. Sharon.
They have a Sharon. They have a song called Fairies Wear Boots. It was off, I believe, the Paranoid album. Actually,
I'm sure it was.
Call me crazy.
I'd never call you that.
Fairies wear boots and they got up to leave. Yeah. Anyhow,
you got one?
No. I do actually. A short one here.
Okay, go ahead.
This is yourghoststories.com. Says I've had many strange experiences in and around my home. However, most have occurred in the woods near my house, such as a ghostly Confederate flag waving on the top of the hill where I had just come from. Also, I've seen dogs running through the woods late at night, passing through the trees as if they were not there. My most creepy experience was not very scary. I had come down to the pond in the woods to try and catch some fish. I had done this many times, and I was used to the random noises. Then, seemingly out of thin air, an elderly man came up and talked with me. After talking for a little while, he walked away to try fishing himself. I glanced over a few times and noticed there were no splashes and simply ignored it. The final time I glanced over, I noticed him walking towards the highway on the far side of the pond when suddenly he disappeared. This was very creepy, as I've been talking with him not long before. Also, I had a friend that lives directly across the road from the woods who has seen strange things running through the field. I've witnessed many strange occurrences around my neighborhood. I have an aunt who committed suicide on the other side of the block. My father's grandparents lived in the house all their lives, and I have seen them many times. The most recent was a few nights ago when my family was sleeping in our living room. My dad was sleeping in a chair on the far side of the room, and they were standing directly over him, looking at us. So I went back to sleep.
Wow.
Well, that's interesting.
It is. Yep. Very.
Huh.
Very cool. That there is very cool.
It's better to hear those kind of stories, though. You know, the grandparents looking out for you. You know, but who is the old elderly gentleman who came down to the pond and sat and talked with him for a minute and went to you know, and then left. You know,
I don't know.
and then disappeared when he got to the road.
Very true. I don't know.
Hmm.
Very loaded with questions, I should say. Sorry,
That
I'm
would
just
be true.
I'm trying to multitask, and I don't know. I've never been too talented at it. It's never been my forte, as it were. Yeah.
And you get on me when I don't pay attention to stories.
That one actually sounded familiar too, though. I'm not.
I don't remember that one myself, but you may have read it on a Friday show.
Yeah, I might have. In any case, it doesn't matter. I'm okay with rereading stories here on the live stream because it's a different format. I don't want the TFR archive full of redundant stories, though. But this isn't the TFR archive, so no worries.
Sure enough.
It'll be new here. We got that going for us. So this one is, again, from thoughtcatalog.com, and it says, Park Ranger here. Another park ranger and I were out on a search and rescue call once. The missing person was a man in his 20s. He had gone hiking and had not returned the day that he intended to. I remember this one, too. When we got the call, it was nighttime, but we hiked a few miles up and set up camp on a ridge that had a pretty good view. He had gone into the woods prepared, so we decided to wait until daylight before beginning the search. About 2 a.m., I get up and am taking a leak when I see a moving light at the base of the cliffs across the valley and a few miles away. Looks like a flashlight beam. I tell the other ranger, and we make a decision to keep waiting for daylight. The next morning, we decide to go check out the area and bring this guy home. It says he get, but he means we get to approximately where I saw the light the night before and start calling his name. Soon, we find his body at the base of the cliff. He had fallen 60 feet on his head. The body was badly mangled. We radio back that it has now become a recovery instead of a rescue. At this point, the other ranger yells to me to come look at this. Lying 20 feet from the man's body was his mag light. It seems odd, but I thought nothing of it until the other ranger reminded me of the light the night before. It kind of gave me creeps, but I still dismissed it. Before too long, the coroner arrived and inspected the body. After he took the body back to the lab, he said that the man had been dead for at least 48 hours before we found the body. All of a sudden, that oh damn alarm went off in my brain. I knew that it couldn't be possible. I had the coroner review his work, same result. I tried to find an explanation for the light I had seen, perhaps other hikers, but one search and rescue guy had stayed at the only trailhead in the area all night, and no one had come or gone. To this day, I have no clue what I saw that night. It freaked me out, though. Now, I would wager a possibility is that maybe his body was found by a Squatch, and they were just looking at his stuff, and one of them managed to turn on a flashlight and waved it around. I don't know. It's complete speculation.
Well, with that thought, would Sasquatches know how to use our technology? I mean, it's a simple thing as pushing a button
right,
on
but
a
if
mag light. But
right, if they were just fumbling around with it and ooh, it's on, and just waving it around like, oh, what's going on? How do I shut it off? and then managed to shut it off again, or the battery just ran out or something. But yeah, I don't know. It could be a ghost thing. Could be a spirit making the presence known, or the guy's spirit. I don't know. So
We'll
just
go
a
with
thought.
the guy's spirit saying, "Hey, come get the body."
Yeah. Either way,
bring it home.
Either way, I'm just glad he got found and was put to rest properly. That's pretty good. So this is number 7. This is a longer one. You got another one, Don?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Okay. It says
The floor is yours,
The
sir.
floor is mine. Turn the microphone on. Speak in the right end. Gotcha. Check. Gotcha. Okay.
It's not just for decoration.
That made Lucky laugh, by the way. It says, I was maybe 14 at the time and obsessed with the occult, more specifically demonology. I'm gifted and blessed with what is commonly called astral projection, a.k.a. the ability to have an out-of-body experience at will. That night I did the usual preparations for leaving my vessel with the intent on meeting with a non-human entity to ask questions until sunrise. I felt the usual sensations, and I felt an unusual tug on my astral body. The world went dark and my vision returned, and I was surrounded by trees and tall grass. Knowing instinctively that I was near the meeting point, I grew weary, and at that moment a beautiful human-looking male approached me, speaking with both mind and voice. His words were alien to me, although my mind's voice I could understand somewhat. From what I gathered, I ended up in this... This is one of your Fey words. Is that Seti?
Where are you?
Right here. Is that...
Sidhi? I don't know.
It's one of those Fey words. Sidhe. S-I-D-H-E territory, and was trespassing. After a time and much guesswork, I gathered that I was welcome to stay if I wasn't disrespectful and didn't try anything sneaky. He showed me a path leading through the trees and the underbrush, noting also that there were more of those beautiful people in the trees following us with drawn bows, maybe of you would.
Wow.
Knowing from lore in the Lord of the Ring book, elves are good archers and slightly unnerved me. The male beside me must have noticed because with a few words the archer slipped from sight and seemed to melt into the trees. Within a few minutes I saw caves carved into hills and smoke from a few cooking fires baking something that resembled bread or biscuits, lemdis bread. As I looked around, I saw no meat and several works of art shaped like animals made from silver, I think. Before I could ask, I felt another sharp tug and found myself in the prearranged meeting grounds to meet with my friend. I've seen Faye many more times, and I'm glad to share more if you'd like. Just drop me a comment. So interesting, going out astral projecting and ends up in the Fae world.
Wow. That is really cool. Very cool. So that was all from an astral projection standpoint.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. I just missed that part, but that's really cool. I'm telling you, folks, they're all around.
They are.
They are the keepers of the forest. All right. So let me look here quick. Got something going on. What is it? We're trying. So we're still live.
As far as I can tell.
As far as you can tell. I don't know how many people are here. It looks like there's 4 people watching right now. So thank you, all 4 of you. And 2 of them are you and me, Don. So
That is correct.
I don't know if it counts me or not. I assume it does.
Well, yeah. Yeah, because you're logged in.
Because I'm logged in. Yeah. And I've got it pulled up.
And it's just Lewis, Lucky, you, and me.
Well, I think Lucky went to bed, so I don't know.
Well, that is true. It does look like she
I think Josh is in there, though. He's watching. Josh, you still awake?
Well, I wonder if Elizabeth Negret's still in there. Is that Negrete or Negrete? Negrete? I'll have to get a correct pronunciation someday.
Was she in there?
She was earlier. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I would have loved to have said hello. I'm sorry I didn't see that. Yeah, she's a wonderful lady. All right, so another story. Okay. All right. This one's kind of cool, I think. When we were little, my father, who was in the Army for 18 years, used to tell us true stories about him and his fellow Army members. One of them happened in East Pakistan, now Bangladesh. Oh, okay. One time my father and his friend were in a camp on duty. In the middle of nowhere, they hear a woman's voice outside of their camp. My father, my father and his friend were scared and curious because the nearest town was at least 50 miles away. Anyway, they went outside and asked the lady if everything was all right. She said she is lost and needed something to eat and drink. My father invited her inside and gave her food and water. After she finished the food, she asked my father if he is local. My father told her that he is from West Pakistan and he is here for training only. She asked my father if he would like some local homemade sweets. My father said yes, and she left. A couple of days went by, and my father forgot about the incident. After a few days, when my father and his friend were sleeping in the tent, they heard the same woman's voice again, this time in different clothes, and had a new perfume. Her hairs were wet and looked like she just took a shower and got ready. It never looked like she had walked 50 miles to get there. My father invited her again inside and gave her some water. This time she refused the water and gave my father a tray with a piece of cloth on it. When my father took the cloth from it, there were some homemade sweets as she had promised. The sweets were still warm and felt like somebody had just made them. After a while she left and promised to come back soon. According to my father, she started coming there every day and every day with some sweets. One day she asked my father and his friend if they were married. My father lied to her and told her that he is happily married. But my father's friend told her that he is not. She asked him if he would like to marry her.
Oh.
My father's friend told her no, after which she got angry and told them that they were just wasting her time and they will regret it. After that, she never came back. After a few days, my father and friend finished their training and left the camp. When they reached the nearest town, they asked the locals about the woman. Locals told them that no one with that name and description lived in that town. The nearest town after that was at least a few hundred miles away.
Wow.
After that, my father left the area and came back to his home in West Pakistan. To this day, my father wonders about that woman and wants to know who she was and what was where she was coming from. I don't know how that ending was, but anyway.
That's interesting.
It is, right?
Yeah. It's one of those weird happenings.
Right. So I got 2 stories left. I'm going to blow through these down, okay?
Okay.
All right. What site did you get that story from, though? I find that very interesting.
It's called yourghoststories.com.
Okay. I've seen that site before. Okay.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah, send it to me via Facebook if you would.
Yeah.
I would love to peruse it later. Okay, was winter camping in northern Wisconsin with a few buddies when... no, this is different, I think. Well, didn't I read one about northern... Oh, it was very short, though. This is kind of short. We'll see. Was winter camping in northern Wisconsin with a few buddies when at around 11 p.m. a guy appears in the firelight out of nowhere, no flashlight or headlamp. Now, this place is not a campground, not a national forest or any land designated for camping, just wilderness. The nearest town is approximately 12 miles away, and the roads aren't plowed, so they're nearly impassable this time of year unless you have the right equipment. The guy sits down, has a couple of beers, is friendly, and leaves after about 45 minutes and disappears back into the forest. We have been camping and exploring that area for around a decade, and from the direction he came, there is only forest that empties into vast swamps. I don't know how or where he was going or surviving that night because it was midnight and we never heard or saw a truck leave on the only road in and out of this area. There are no cabins back here, no camps, nothing. It was February in northern Wisconsin, and the low that night was around 5 degrees Fahrenheit. Huh, I don't know. There's lots of weirdness going about.
That's that
Oh,
story.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you. I
that story.
appreciate it.
See,
Okay.
I'm on it tonight.
You
on
are.
It. I got it to
You're just on the spot. And then there's one more.
That'd be Donnie on the spot, by the way.
Donnie, not Johnny. It's Donnie on the spot. Not a professional or anything, but while my brothers and I were camping at this primitive campsite in West Texas, it was about 12:30 at night, and we start hearing this faint opera music in the forest around us. After heating up SpaghettiOs on our fire, which the park ranger specifically told us not to make, we noped the hell out of there and hiked like 6 miles by moonlight back to our truck and drove home. It was like it was following us because we heard it all the way to about a mile away from the parking lot. The reason it was creepy was because we got to our campsite after getting lost and escorted by the same park ranger from earlier in the story, and he told us we were lucky to be the only people for miles around because of how peaceful it was. He said there was no one else there.
Wow.
Wow, is right.
So opera music, huh? In the
Opera
middle
music.
of the forest.
That
guy's name was Sam Baloney.
Yeah, well, it's a pen name, of course, I assume. But the funny thing is there are stories of weirdness. There's a guy that's written a book, and I'll have to track down what it was called again. But essentially, he's compiled a whole book on weird reported things that have happened in the woods, and this is just like weird, as in not necessarily just the old Sasquatch things, but strangeness, like his father, and I remember hearing him interviewed. His father and he were out in a yard when they were younger in the woods, and apparently a piano flew overhead playing, and it's just weirdness like that. It's like, what the hell,
Wow.
How do you quantify that,
It had to be aliens.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It must be the aliens. Right.
Aliens. I don't mean to say it's aliens, but it's aliens.
Yeah. Was that Giorgio what?
Yeah, Giorgio Tsoukalos.
Tsoukalos, yeah, that's right. So, yes. All right, Don. You have another one?
Sure, this one's a little bit longer.
Okay.
Okay.
I'd love for you to read for a while.
Well, certainly. Let's see here. This is called The Disembodied Voices from the Wood.
Okay.
When I was younger, me, my cousin, and our aunt went for a walk outdoors down the holler. While me being the curious little kid, I walked over people need to use commas.
It's what I wrestle with every day doing the show.
All right, let me see. Well, me being the curious little kid I walked down over the hill to the other side of the road. I got a little way down the hill, and on the downhill towards my right, I hear my cousin's voice. Savannah, come here. At first, I thought it was just my cousin, but I didn't see her. The area down the hill was visible everywhere, just skinny little trees and flat land. It confused me, and made me feel a bit uneasy. It was obvious there were no humans or animals that I could see there. I walked down a little further to where her voice came last from, and I heard it again. Hurry up. Come on. And this time it was a little further down than where it had been before. I knew something was up because she wasn't there. No one was there. I got scared and yelled for my aunt. They both walked over from the other side of the road looking down at me. I was scared and confused because I know for a fact what just went on. I told my aunt and my cousin. They both swore and promised it wasn't either of them. My cousin had been with her standing on the road, so it wasn't her. The voice of my cousin was coming from down the hill trying to lure me away. Of course, they looked and seen no one or nothing. Holler. The voice just seemed to be coming from the air in front of me. The next day or two, I was out on the front porch playing by myself as they sat in the house. Note that these encounters and disembodied voices, I smelt a strong scent of pennies. I look over and seen like 50 baby black snakes crawling all over each other, staying in the same place. In my mind, something kept wanting me to go over to the snakes, but I didn't. I ran and got my aunt to come out to see them. As soon as we got out there, the stench and the snakes were gone. As soon as she went back in the house, the snakes came right back. Same spot. Stench came first. I hollered, but of course she wouldn't come back out because it was my imagination. I got creeped out and went inside for the next day or two. When I finally got brave enough to go back outside, I kept feeling like I needed to walk down the road towards the old garage. Well, I did because I wanted to face my fears of not leaving the porch and get on with my life. Well, as soon as I got towards the other side of the garage, there was this huge buck standing on his hind legs staring at me. Standing on his hind legs.
Uh-huh.
I froze in fear because it's got black eyes and staring through my soul. It acted human. I kicked in the flight mode as soon as I turned my body to run, keeping my eyes glued on it. it opens its mouth and talked in Aunt Jay's voice. "Come here, Rose." I ran, and when I did, it was screaming and mimicking, "Please come back here, Rose," in the most awfulest scream. Rose is my middle name, by the way. By the time I hit the door, I was bawling because I knew my aunt would not believe me. That scream has scarred me and stuck with me to this day. I told my aunt and Mama, and in a way I think they kind of believed me because I was crying and being so serious as a heart attack. I never wanted to go outside after that. It seemed it kept trying to lure me and convince me to come to it. It's 100% truth. The deer was a regular healthy deer, no active imagination, not a dream, not crazy, no drugs, but reality. Any ideas?
Wow.
Huh.
Sounds demonic to me.
Oh, certainly doesn't sound good, that's for sure.
So how much longer do you want to go, Don?
Well, you know what? What time is it? It is 9 o'clock. Well, we've been at this for almost 2 hours now.
Okay. I'm going to replay this. Again, I just want to share this with you guys. This is going to be the second hour intro on the Paranormal Portal radio show. So I want to play it for you guys. See what you think. So those of you in the chat room, both of you or one of you, however,
or whoever's there. Because remember, we're still streaming through Facebook too. So, or not through Facebook, but to Facebook.
We are not.
So.
We are not.
Not through Facebook. It's, look,
just to YouTube.
Here it is. But here's the link through Facebook. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. Okay. hold on. I got to cough this out. Hold on.
Let him cough this. Oh, goodness. You know, it's getting to that time of year. Yeah. Fall allergies and all.
It is. It's a tough time of year for me. I always get really, I don't know, just so mucusy or something. I don't know.
I'm going to have to bookmark this page. That was kind of...
That's pretty cool.
It has some really good links.
Is that the same one you sent to me?
Yeah.
Good. Let's keep it up there.
Because you look at the bottom and it says like hauntings with similar titles, and that's how I found them. So.
Okay, so I'm going to play this one more time, and I think this is just going to lead us out. So thank you guys for being here, but please let me know what you think of this song. I'm looking forward to your comebacks, your comments and feedback. I said comebacks. Sorry, I'm just getting froggy from all the reading and it being that time of year when my fall allergies kick in. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you like it, and you're getting a sneak peek because this won't go actually live on the air until Friday's episode, the beginning of the second hour. So hope you like it.
This looks extraordinarily bad.
They linger in a perpetual dream state, a nightmare from which they cannot wake.